Okay. Open Letter to Justin Trudeau by Greg Meakin. Dear Prime Minister Trudeau, I am writing just to give you a heads up that you will be losing one of your provinces any minute. Alberta. It shouldn't be a surprise or disappointment to you that Alberta will choose to divorce Canada. You've been dismissing and dissing Alberta since you could barely talk. So why stop now? I think I even heard you snicker with the first line of this open letter. As I wrote in a previous open letter to you, I remember the day you were born. I told a school buddy in Dorval, Quebec, that the baby in diapers born on Christmas Day 1971 would be prime minister someday. I was 12, but I was right. I grew up in Montreal and voted for your dad twice because my Protestant school board of Greater Montreal mother told me to. That's another story. I left for the United States in 1983 and now live in Arizona. In my dual citizen lifetime, I have been a constituent of 11 Canadian prime ministers and 13 U.S. presidents, including you, Justin Trudeau, and President Biden down here in the States. I am a media analyst, business analyst, and political wonk. I covered your father in 1978 for my college newspaper. My favorite president was Ronald Reagan. I miss Reagan so much. I miss JFK. I miss the leaders who, despite being politicians, truly espoused a love for their country, a respect for the rule of law, and an ingrained duty to protect all citizens. In my 63 years, and after objective consideration, I have determined the worst president in the history of the United States is President Joe Biden. No question. Jimmy Carter was inept during his tenure, but he was a good man, a smart man. And President Carter loved and respected his country and constituents. Sadly, to me, the worst Canadian Prime Minister in history is Justin Trudeau. You. And it's not even a close call, sir. I won't take any time here to list the blatant failures of your tenure or the decisions you have made as leader of my beloved Canada. The laundry list of ineptitude and corruption is way too big and way too tragic. You have failed the Canadian people in every way imaginable. And shockingly, even to me, you don't seem to care. It is this apathy and arrogance that has caused Westerners to become disenfranchised as old-fashioned, irrelevant Canadians. Albertans are frustrated and angry with the blatant disrespect coming from Ottawa and Quebec. But you've known that for decades. If it weren't for the royal Santa bag of Alberta equalization money flown back there every year, Eastern Canada wouldn't even put Alberta on its Christmas card list. My message to you, Mr. Prime Minister, other than to resign immediately, is please do not be surprised when Alberta citizens choose to become the 51st state of the United States. And please don't pretend you love them and want them to stay. Please don't shame them for wanting to keep their own oil revenues or for their own citizens and not sharing those billions with an abusive spouse in Ottawa. And please understand, when Alberta dumps you, other provinces will follow. You heard it here. As touched on above, my mother in Dorval, Quebec, was a school teacher. She taught me that you often don't know what you've got until it's gone. On June 30th, 2023, or earlier, Albertans will choose to become the 51st state of the United States of America. Write it down. Mark it on your calendar. A narcissistic, abusive spouse is often shocked when losing control of a domestic situation. And when a loving, lifetime partner just ups and leaves forever. Alberta will stroll down the road to American freedom next June, and there won't be anything you can do about it. So please don't gaslight. Please don't blame Alberta for wanting out. Don't blame her. Could you change this divisive direction, Mr. Prime Minister? Could you repair the foundation of a cracking confederation? Sure. Truly great leaders have the gift of pragmatism, of courage, and inclusiveness. But after penning an open letter to you last February, urging you to diplomatically mitigate the Freedom Convoy 2022 standoff, I then watched in horror as you froze personal bank accounts. You locked up dissenters with no bail. You verbally trashed lawful and thoroughly Canadian protesters. The world was watching this un-Canadian abuse of power and oppression wrought upon law-abiding citizens during the Freedom Convoy episode by an emotionally detached Prime Minister. I sadly concluded you are less interested in the daily lives of Canadians as you are your own lofty throne in Ottawa, or perhaps your self-casted dramatic role on the world stage? Or both? Is it too late to salvage Alberta? I'm not sure. But once again, just a heads up, Alberta, USA, June 30th, 2023. Write it down, mark your calendar. Because sometimes in life, you don't know what you got until it's gone.